Have you ever experienced conflict at work or in your personal life so intense that maybe it even felt like you might not ever be able to trust that person again? Well, you're not alone. And in this video, we're diving into the real steps that it takes to rebuild trust after conflict, drawing on practical techniques that you can use right now. Hey, I'm Simon Good. I'm a professional mediator and I'm the host of the Conflict Skills podcast. And if you would like practical tools for dealing with conflict, whether it's at work or in your personal relationships, be sure to hit subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss out on future conflict resolution training videos, which might help to transform the way that you handle tough conversations. Well, as I mentioned in this video, we're talking about rebuilding trust after fallout. And by the end, you'll have a clear step-by-step framework that you can use to get things back on track, even when it feels impossible. So let's set the stage. Imagine that there's been a blow-up at work, maybe two team members have had a shouting match, or a customer confrontation has left everyone rattled. Tension is often high, and suddenly it can feel like any small misstep can open up old wounds. I don't know if you've ever felt like that. It's because after conflict, people become hyper vigilant. It's our tribal fight or flight brains kicking in, scanning for danger, ready to bolt at the first sign of any potential trouble. And unfortunately, even small gestures like a polite good morning can fall flat when trust has drained away. So, where do you start? Well, the first phase often in rebuilding trust is clarifying expectations. This isn't about forcing trust back into place, it's about rebuilding a foundation that it sits on, which is effectively expectations. Often, after conflict, both sides aren't sure about what's going to happen next, and the uncertainty can manifest in anxiety. So, get specific about what's expected now in practical terms. Set short term, clear goals. Who is responsible for doing what? Are the two parties going to have any contact for now, and what's that going to look like? Which kind of behaviors are you wanting them both to focus on to prevent things from bubbling up over time? And if you're a manager or a team leader, you can think of yourself almost as a bit of an accidental mediator. You don't necessarily have to be the one that comes up with all of the answers. What they need is someone to facilitate a conversation about what's realistic and that they can agree to in the short term. Even an agreement, just what it's going to take to keep things civil for a week or two, can be a huge start. Certainty can really de escalate tension, so give people a clear map about next steps and let them know when they're going to be getting another update. This is a simple but quite a game changing technique. So, the next phase, aside from setting clear expectations, is resolution and metabolizing the event. We need to tackle the emotional fallout. People need often time and place to digest what's happened, and rushing in can only backfire in a lot of situations. Your role should be as an active listener, offering empathy and encouraging people to process how they're feeling. If you're not sure what to say, there are four powerful restorative justice questions that can help. What happened? What were you thinking at the time? What have you been thinking about since? And what needs to happen to make things right? These questions can help individuals to move from an emotional reaction to a narrative, which promotes understanding and creates a bit of a mental pathway to finding solutions. Now, a key note for leaders here is to stay impartial, and it's about making sure that your team knows that you're impartial. I often talk about perceived impartiality when I'm doing conflict resolution training with managers and team leaders and that kind of thing. What this means effectively is that you can validate a person's feelings from their perspective, from your point of view. That sounded really stressful, without taking sides. They shouldn't have done that. So the third phase often is about maintaining momentum. Let's assume that the dust has settled a bit. How do you keep things moving in the right direction? You should focus on feedback. When we see even small improvements like less tension in the break room or someone making a visible effort, acknowledge it. Let people know that you've noticed. Positive feedback reinforces these behaviors much more than criticism ever could. And the secret weapon I often find is the GROW coaching model. Goal: what does a positive working relationship look like for you? You can ask the people involved these kind of questions. What are you aiming for? What's the desired state, so to speak? Reality, the R, where are things up to right now? What still feels tough? Where are things still getting stuck? Options, you can ask questions like, what are some of the practical steps that could improve things further? And those way forward kind of questions are about planning. What's one thing that you can do over the next week or two? So, this model, thinking about these three different stages, isn't necessarily about helping people to make friends overnight. It's about giving them the tools and ownership to take manageable steps together, which helps trust to be rebuilt naturally over time. So, just as a bit of a recap, first we need to clarify expectations to bring certainty to an uncertain situation. Second, we need to help people metabolize the event with empathy, reflection, and honest conversation. And third, keeping up the momentum by focusing on and appreciating the small wins. Well, look, if these steps have resonated with you, or if you have a story about rebuilding trust after conflict, please let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you. And if you found this video helpful, please give it a like, subscribe, or share it with someone who could use a little bit more peace in their life. You've been watching the Conflict Skills Podcast, and I'm Simon Good. Thank you very much for tuning in, and hopefully see you again in the next episode. And remember, even the most broken trust can be mended one step at a time. Bye for now.